guys, welcome to Spanmade. In the last 4 weeks since I've seen you last, I have read 5 books. A whole stack. I think that's pretty damn good. I'm pretty happy with that. And I decided that I would talk to you about all of them today instead of trying to do a book review for each one because 5 videos is too many to catch up on. So, without further ado, the 5 books that I have read are Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh, To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. I finally finished An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. True Blue, which is the sequel to Dear Banjo, by Sasha Wasley. And most excitingly, I have read Rainbow Rowell's Wayward Son. I didn't even know, okay, we'll start with this one. I didn't even know this was coming out. I was going to Perth, traveling for a friend's wedding, and I had a bunch of these books packed ready to read, and on the way home, I was at the airport perusing the bookshop because I had plenty of time, and I found this, and I fangirled. I got really excited. I read it in one day. I read it on the plane and then I didn't go to sleep until I'd finished it. It was amazing. It's a simple carry-on from the last book that she wrote, which was called Carry On, and the last book ends really well and it's like happily ever after, basically, and then this is just after that. This is what happens in the happily ever after. This is how people cope with being the chosen one and being the hero and, you know, developing relationships, and it's very interesting. I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed all of the character development as well. And this one is set in America where they do a big road trip, and I love a good road trip. Love a good road trip novel, but a good road trip as well. And a good road trip selfie, so good. So yes, I read this very quick, 5 stars, loved it. I just love Rainbow Rowell, she's so easy to read. Yeah, so next up, because we'll just do it in the order of which I have them on my lap now, is True Blue. This was good. It wasn't as good as the original because there were no love letters in it, but it did follow a character that I could relate to. She was very artsy, she was doing a teacher scholarship thing, and she fell in love with the policeman, which was nice, and there's also huge undertones, overtones of like environmentalism, of saving the river from being dammed, and yeah, so there was a lot of like protests and stuff and environmental stuff in here as well, so that was really good. It took me a little bit longer than Dear Banjo to read. I wasn't quite as invested in the love story as much, but I really love the character of the policeman. I thought he was a sweetheart. Okay. Although the main character, the girl, was a little bit too emotional, and that's coming from me. I cried on the drive here, like, anyway, she was a bit too empathetic, I think, which shouldn't really be a thing. It shouldn't be a thing. Okay, the next one I finally finished is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, and it, I have feelings about it. It was good. Its storyline was alright, and its basis and its idea was brilliant. I really liked the idea of these giant robots turning up in the streets, and people think they're sculptures, but there's one in every major city, and they're immovable, and they're made of a substance no one knows of, and then a girl YouTubes about it, and this is the story of her YouTubing about this unknown sculpture named Carl. And premise, amazing. Actuality of reading it, I didn't like it so much, but it is a debut novel. It is Hank's first, like, fiction book. So I'm hoping that the sequels, his writing voice will improve a little bit. I didn't like it specifically because the character really annoyed me. Her voice was just, she was, I don't know, arrogant and annoying and made decisions I would never make. But also, the way it is written is that you know that she's writing this down. You know that it's a book that she's writing. and she says things like, I know you're gonna hate me in 2 chapters time, so please, you know, look forward or forgive me or whatever. And that really took me out of the story. I was like, why are you telling me that you're gonna be a little shit? Like, just commit, you know? Stop apologizing for yourself while you're writing. I don't know. But yeah, it just, it irked me a little bit. But I did get through it, and I do wish to read the next one, and I'm looking forward to great things in the future. No pressure, Hank, no pressure. So the next one was an absolutely brilliant story by Becky Chambers. Yet again, I love her stuff. Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and the 2 subsequent books in that trilogy were really good. And this is a short story that was just, it was really interesting. It was another one where you knew she was writing it, but you felt like, I don't know, it was alright in this context. Isn't that interesting? I don't know why. I don't know what the difference is. Ooh, now I feel like a hypocrite. Anyway, this one follows a bunch of astronauts on a mission from Earth to check out and look at these 3 planets to see if they're habitable. And basically, long story short, they lose connection with their homeland, with Earth. They lose the communication goes. And of course, they're on alien planets, and that's very exciting. And it kind of feels like following scientists in the field. Like, I used to work as an archaeological field assistant, and some aspects of this really just felt like being back in the field, which was really nice. And I thought she did that very well. There is one absolutely horrific part in the middle of this book that I was quite upset about. It involved, I guess, animal cruelty. I mean, it was cruel, but it wasn't spiteful. It was just a really hard thing that had to happen, and I could have done without that in this book, but it was good nonetheless. Alright, so the last book I read is a very little book called Silver in the Wood. And it's by Emily Tesh, and it was beautiful. It was, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't what it was. It follows this old man of the woods and the mythology around this guy who's been living in the woods for like 500 years. And he meets this young man, and the young man is kind of looking into the mythology and realizes it's him, and just, amazing things ensue, and it's just this great setting of being in this deep forest, and there's a little town, and it's kind of like worshipping the old gods. But yeah, it's really cute and really creepy, and really like magic, I guess, like what do you call it, like the sprites and spirits and like ghosts, I guess, of the other realms. Yeah, so while it was a short read, it was very full on. There's a lot in it, a lot of great imagery. I really enjoyed the house that he's in. It's like this magical place in the woods that appears at different places, but not always exactly the same, but around the same area, around this big tree which kind of hosts this house. Yeah, it was really good, really vivid imagery. Cool. So these are the 5 books that I have read since you've been gone. Don't sing, Anna. Since I've been gone. Alright, so I'm going to put these up on the shelf. Well, this was easier in my head. Bam. Cool. And I will see you in the future when I have read more books. Alright. Cool. Thanks so much for watching. How do you turn this thing off? Oof, guys. Whoop. I lied to you. I hadn't read 5 books, I'd read 6. I left out Every Seventh Wave, which is the sequel to Love Virtually, which is an email correspondence between 2 people and their relationship that ensues from that. It's really cute, it's really quick, it's just nice and easy to read, and I mean, they're not entirely relatable people, but they kind of are, so that's nice. And having a lot of communication online helps me to empathize with the way that they write. One thing I will say about this book that is worse than the first one is that it doesn't have the timestamps of, like, it only has the timestamps of when these emails were written, not a subject line or a who it's to, which you can infer all of those things, but I really enjoyed that even though I skipped entirely over it in my mind. In the first book, it was nice to have it there in case I wanted to just make sure that I knew whose voice I was supposed to be reading it in. But other than that, brilliant book, really cute, really sweet, and yeah, 6th book in 4 weeks. I'm doing so well. Alright, again, how do you turn this thing off? Thanks so much for watching. Okay, bye!